Hello, my name is Paul Hanson and I'm Deputy Chief Executive of North Tyneside Council. I'm the Senior Officer responsible for our day-to-day operations and right now our major highway schemes. I know there's a great deal of roadworks going on at the moment and it can be really tough for some of our residents trying to get around the borough at the moment, but I thought I'd take a minute to just try and explain why we're doing quite so much work and all at the same time, and doing that at a point at which Highways England are also building an enormous new junction at Silverlink. And when a couple of major government sources of funding came up, we had an opportunity to access £20 million worth of additional funding to the £4 or £5 million we spend each year. And that allowed us to tackle some very, very significant congestion, safety and journey time issues throughout the borough. Unfortunately, that funding comes through a government funding stream that has its own timetables and its own rules around when that cash can be spent. And we wouldn't necessarily do quite so much work at the same time if it wasn't for the fact that actually it's the only way we could get the extra money into the borough to make the difference we all need. So right now, we've completed work at 4 Lane Ends, which was an enormous scheme. We've completed the work we were doing on the A191 at Forest Hall by Tyneview Park. And we've completed expanding Beach Road to make sure that they can take more traffic and make things easier while we do more work on the Coast Road. However, we have got 3 major schemes underway across the borough. We're doing work at Billy Mill Roundabout, which is difficult. It's an important junction. There's a lot of traffic comes through there. A lot of people rely on it to get about the borough. But it's really, really important that we upgrade that junction in order to make sure we manage congestion and journey times in the future. Some of you may have looked at the modelling that we put on our website. That showed clearly that leaving the existing junction was going to make things really difficult for people in the future. So we've chosen to intervene now to try and make that junction work better, handle more traffic and be more sustainable for the future. We're doing a lot of work at Holystone, at the north of Cobalt Business Park, and at the A19's junction with the A191. Some of you will know that that junction's been difficult for a long time. We had to do an awful lot of work to make sure we kept pedestrians safe, and particularly the children who attend Holystone Juniors who live on the east side of the A19. We're going to expand the junction and the road as it approaches the junction to try and make sure people can get in and around that junction more effectively, and the people who work in Cobalt and live in Whitley Bay and maybe travel to Newcastle can get through that junction more effectively. The third piece of work we're doing at the moment is up at Sandy Lane, and that, as well as trying to improve traffic flows for people who commute into Newcastle, is also about supporting our new potential business park north of Sandy Lane, which we're going to call Indigo Park. We know North Tyneside is a great place to live, to work and to visit, but a lot of the work we're doing is thinking about the longer term and trying to make sure that the borough remains that way. In the first instance, a lot of that money we're spending is to improve journey times and to reduce congestion. But it's also to make sure that our roads and our transport networks are safe. One of the reasons why we're particularly doing Billy Mill is that we saw over 150 accidents along that stretch in the period before we began the work. We also want to make sure that our networks are sustainable, as well as doing things for cars and road users in vehicles. We're actually paying particular attention to the safety of pedestrians at crossing points that we know are difficult. And we're investing significant amounts of money in cycleways across the borough. That we've seen an enormous increase in cycling in North Tyneside, but not just for leisure, for people commuting to work. And then finally and critically, if you look at the map that I'm required to look at, quite a lot of this work is deliberately designed to support North Tyneside's economy, to make sure our businesses can thrive. And while I know it's tricky at the moment for local business, and we're providing as much information as we can to make sure they can make choices and plan their businesses, actually we've had some significant success in attracting work into North Tyneside for North Tyneside people. And investing in this infrastructure is about making sure people can get to and from work, that businesses can get their goods and services to and from their place of work. This is just one way of trying to tell everybody what we're up to. We found it's quite useful. Quite a lot of you are interested in hearing directly about what we've been up to, and my colleagues in Capita and elsewhere in the council have been trying to talk directly to people through social media. We make sure our website has useful information, and we try to keep things current with our social media feeds, trying to tip you off where specific incidents have occurred that might make a particular difference to your day's travel. If you haven't, can I suggest that you sign up for one of our e-bulletins and pay particular attention to our website, where you'll always get the most up-to-date information. And finally, can I just thank everyone for their patience during a time that I know is difficult. I think it's probably important you know that along with 60% of my colleagues, I live in North Tyneside, and that my road works as well as your road works. On a day-to-day basis, we all understand that it can be a bit tricky right now, and we're really grateful for your patience. But when we're finished, we expect you to see less congestion, better journey times, a more sustainable North Tyneside, and an economy that helps us continue to make this a great place to live, to work and to visit. Thanks for your time.